order, call toll-free 1-800-257-1257 to save all COD charges and pay only $12.98 for records or cassettes or $16.98 for CD plus $3 shipping. Use your credit card or send check or money order to Floyd Kramer, P.O. Box 8250, Atlanta, Georgia. Remember, save COD charges by sending check or money order or use your credit card.
This is CNN.
An attack on a French convoy in Sarajevo kills 2 French soldiers, and France is calling it an act of war. And a rare Western look inside Burma, where the government's come down heavily against dissent. Welcome to our viewers around the world. This is World Day. I'm Reid Collins in Washington. Bobby Batista is on assignment today. France is calling it a deadly machine gun attack on a United Nations relief convoy, an act of war, and is demanding that the killers be punished. 2 French peacekeepers were killed and 5 wounded when the relief convoy they were with was hit by gun and mortar fire. The shooting erupting as the convoy was trying to cross the airport's runway in Sarajevo. French officers reportedly are blaming the attack on Bosnian Muslim forces. United Nations relief has been suspended indefinitely again. Reports from Sarajevo say the pilots are refusing to fly and the drivers refusing to drive. The peace negotiator Cyrus Vance has called the attack murder. He and the British mediator Lord Owen arrived in Zagreb this morning to consider ways to bolster the security for those UN convoys. African National Congress leaders are demanding the removal of Siskiy's military chief and all other conservative black homeland leaders. This demand coming just 2 days after at least 24 people were killed in a confrontation between the ANC and Siskiy's security forces. Also today, thousands of people said to be gathering in the other homeland of Kwakwa to press for the resignation of its chief minister. Jeremy Thompson has the latest now from South Africa.
Siskiyou troops today still held the frontier of their illegitimate homeland. For now, the safety catchers were back on, but their murderous response on Monday has pushed the homeland issue to the very forefront of South Africa's bitter political debate. Siskiyou's unelected leader, Brigadier Gozo, has rejected ANC demands for his resignation, but his presence is now a major stumbling block to the resumption of constitutional talks. ANC activists demonstrated only too vividly this week their commitment to dismantling these symbols of apartheid at almost any cost. Monday's martyrs may well have served a cynical purpose in whipping up popular anger, as the ANC tries to create a domino effect, toppling all these homelands loyal to President de Klerk's regime. What concerns the government is that communists within the ANC, like Chris Hani and Ronnie Kasrils, who led the charge on Siskiyou, are intent on increasingly revolutionary course of action. In the end, it is all about votes. Nelson Mandela knows full well that unless the ANC is allowed to operate freely in these hostile homelands, its majority in any future democratic government is in jeopardy. The leadership of the government and the ANC are now meeting separately to assess just what damage the massacre has done to their relationship. Their responses will show whether or not they have lost faith in peaceful negotiated settlement. Jeremy Thompson, ITN, Johannesburg.
The Russian Foreign Ministry spokesman confirms that the president, Boris Yeltsin, has postponed a trip to Japan planned for next week. An unnamed official quoted by Reuters, however, would not elaborate on this sudden change of plan. Most sources say it may be due to the dispute over that group of islands, the Kurils, the former Soviet Union seized in the last days of World War II. Mr. Yeltsin's been seeking major financial help from Japan. Tokyo has been resisting this until the dispute over the islands has been settled. Some Brazilian lawmakers are speeding up the impeachment process against the president, Fernando Collor de Mello. President Collor, who attended independence celebrations on Monday, denies allegations of corruption. Yesterday, though, the legislative leader said that Mr. Collor has 1 week in which to present his defense. This deadline would allow Brazil's lower house to vote on impeachment by the end of the month. A German prosecutor says attempted murder charges probably will be filed for an assault against the home of Vietnamese workers. 7 young people were arrested for setting the building in Halle on fire. This attack part of a wave of violence by extreme right-wingers against the refugees. Last night, a refugee hostel was attacked in Quedlinburg. Lawmakers from Florida were meeting with White House officials through the night last night, discussing President Bush's proposal to finance the rebuilding of parts, at least, of ravaged portions of Florida and Louisiana. Thousands of people in Homestead are living in the temporary tent cities until homes and lives can be somehow put back together. Yesterday, President Bush offered a $7.6 billion emergency aid package. But Florida lawmakers say no, they may need more.
I think it will be higher than the amount which the president has initially assigned. I believe that the Congress is going to be as receptive as the American people, who've been extremely generous, compassionate, understanding, and anxious to be of help in the recovery process.
In Dade County, Hurricane Andrew destroyed thousands of mobile homes, and now today's Washington Post reports the Department of Housing and Urban Development will conduct a full-scale review of the mobile home regulations. President Bush is pushing the Canada-Mexico free trade agreement still. Some workers, though, say it may boost one U.S. export, and that may be jobs. More on this debate next on World Day.
I just picked up the mail and I noticed my tax refund. Compared to what I'm paying in taxes today, it's nothing.
I remember when this used to mean something.
I've got to find a way to keep more of what I earn.
Common sense says you should keep as much of what you earn as you can.
Well, at least this will pay for my phone bill.
And you can earn income that's tax-free with Fidelity Investments, America's largest mutual fund company.
I was on my way to my new accountant.
These are all taxable investments.
Yeah, and his tax bracket.
I knew I'd pay taxes on my salary, but my investment income?
He's not going to like the news.
So, what do we got? The good news is that we have some great ideas for next year.
Next year?
With Fidelity's tax-free funds, you can earn income 100% free from federal taxes, and in many states, free from state taxes as well. Plus, there's no sales charge. Call now for this free booklet, A Common Sense Guide to Tax-Free Investing. Call 1-800-328-4100. Fidelity Investments. Common sense. Uncommon results.
Hi, I'm Denise Anderson of Sears Brand Central. And now that you've made us America's #1 appliance and electronics superstore, we're celebrating with our once-a-year birthday bash.
Save on this large capacity Kenmore washer, only $247. Matching dryer, only $197. Both at their lowest prices ever. And our 7M Kenmore upright vacuum with onboard tools is just $79.99. And there's much more.
So hurry to Brand Central, where you can always count on great value. And you can count on me.
I can't believe it. Can you believe it? I can't believe it.
Next month, this could be you, a brand new millionaire on the Publishers Clearinghouse Sweepstakes. It's coming soon. Watch for it and send it in.
I just can't comprehend that I've done it.
Tonight, Vice Presidential candidate Al Gore on the campaign trail with your phone calls. Tonight on Larry King Live, 9 Eastern on CNN.
The Senate's expected to vote on the judicial appointment of Edward Carnes today. The Alabama Attorney General is President Bush's nominee for a seat on the Federal Appeals Court. He's facing opposition from opponents claiming he's been racially insensitive and too supportive of the death penalty.
The prosecutor in Alabama is nationally known for his determination to send black kids to the electric chair.
Ed Carnes has had a long history of fighting for racial justice, particularly in the period when racial tensions were at a boiling point in Alabama.
Vote is planned today on limiting the debate over the Carnes nomination, and supporters of this concede they'll need 60 votes to prevail. Without that, they say the nomination itself could be doomed. President Bush set off for school early this morning. The topic of this day for the Bush campaign is to be education. Bush is scheduled to speak at a high school in Norristown, Pennsylvania, where students will be able then to ask him questions. After that session, the president heads to New Jersey for a fundraiser. Democrat Bill Clinton returns to the South. He has stops in Georgia and Florida after a swing yesterday through the Northeast. He's to be in a suburb of Atlanta discussing welfare reform. Also is slated to address a Jewish service organization via satellite. It's expected Clinton will be asked about Bush's comment yesterday that Israel would not have been as safe during the Gulf War had a Democrat been president. Overriding issues in this presidential election could well be domestic concerns. Both Democrats and Republicans, though, are using the North American Free Trade Agreement to make points about politics at home. CNN's Irv Chapman has more from Washington.
A few days after the Bush administration had to report the loss of 167,000 more non-farm jobs, it sent its newly negotiated free trade agreement with Mexico to Capitol Hill and was promptly accused of promoting the export of still more jobs to low-wage Mexico.
Already we have had 70 Big Three auto plants move to Mexico. I see tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of additional jobs going, many of them out of the manufacturing sector, which are the jobs that we most need.
But the administration tried to shift the argument from jobs lost to markets and opportunities created.
U.S. autos and light trucks will enjoy greater access to Mexico, the fastest growing major auto market in the world. With this agreement, Mexican tariffs will be cut in half on light trucks and passenger cars immediately.
And that, the administration contends, will create another 400,000 jobs by 1995. But analysts sympathetic to labor fear that high-tech jobs will not stay in the United States.
The problem is that when Americans get dislocated because of imports, they don't go up the ladder. American workers go off the ladder to unemployment, or they go down the ladder to worse jobs.
Democrats also assailed President Bush for speeding the agreement for political reasons and for demanding Bill Clinton's support without giving him a chance to read what is, in fact, an 1,100-page document. Many Democrats supported the administration's expediting the treaty negotiations, and the president came halfway to meet them with more money for job retraining. So the prospects for the treaty seem to be favorable, though the vote won't come until the new Congress meets. Irv Chapman, CNN Business News, Washington.
And still ahead on World Day, the breakup of the Soviet Union has led to new hopes for some and new hardships for others in Estonia. And an ultimatum from the royal family to the Prince and Princess of Wales. Some powerful public relations from the palace when World Day continues.
I'm Officer Lisa Hale, Vice President of the Crime Prevention Association of Michigan. This year, over 1.5 million motor vehicles will be stolen. Stolen from shopping centers, workplaces, even from your own driveways. As a police officer, it's my duty to protect you as well as your personal possessions. So if you don't want your car or truck to be stolen, here are a few tips to remember. 1. Always remove your keys from the ignition. 2. Double check to make sure that your doors are locked. 3. At night, park in a well-lit area. 4. Never leave packages or personal belongings exposed on seats. And 5. Never leave your car without first protecting it with the club. The club is a tough-tempered steel bar that can't be cut. Once attached, it makes driving your car virtually impossible. I personally use and recommend the club to help prevent auto thefts. It's affordable protection that you can't afford to be without. Remember to avoid cheap imitations. Make sure the anti-theft device you buy says the club on the handle.
The club's available at most stores where auto supplies are sold.
So the old furnace is still chugging along, huh? I bet you're thinking, why drop it if it still works? Well, consider this. Right now, with a high-efficiency Lennox Pulse 21 gas furnace, you could be saving up to 40% on your home heating bill. And savings like that add up fast. Kind of makes saying goodbye a little easier, doesn't it? Yeah, we thought so. The Lennox Pulse 21 furnace, because when energy saving's a must be a Lennox.
You gotta hold on me.
Presenting the new Gillette Sensor for Women razor.
You gotta hold on me.
Its unique handle is easier to hold onto for total control. And its spring-mounted twin blades and pivoting head hold onto every curve for fewer nicks and cuts. So smooth. So silky. The new Gillette Sensor for Women. Finally, a razor worth holding on to.
The killing of 2 French UN peacekeepers in Sarajevo has left the status of the peace relief convoys very much up in the air, and France calling it an act of war. CNN's Jackie Szymanski has